How do I make my beer more stable in my kegs? Every week or so, I notice the flavor profile changes, some for the good, some not so good. All right, so this is a big it depends answer, right? First, let's go with the assumption that all your processes are right. Um, Quality control is tight and everything's good, right? You're clean, you're sanitary, you're well purged, oxygen's not an issue, right? If all of those things are happening and you're seeing that your beer is changing, sometimes good, sometimes not good. If it's changing for the good, it can be something like a heavily dry hopped IPA that can potentially be dropping some of its hop burn, right? It can be mellowing a little bit. It can also be a thing where certain beers, and in my experience at home, I was making, and this was all Jamil Zainasheff stuff. I was making, like the Scottish shilling beers, and dude, I was laying them down. I was making these 3-4% beers and laying them down in the cellar for a long time because I was stacking up entries for competition. When I was entering competition, I was entering like 25 to 38 beers in a competition. So yeah, I just brew a batch, put it in the bottles, put it in the basement, and then take those things out when it's competition time and try to blow it up, right? Man, even those small beers, because common knowledge would, if it's common knowledge, but common sentiment on it would be is those beers won't age out well. Well, it had some roast malt in it. It was a darker beer, dude, and those beers killed. The longer I had them in bottle, the better they were. Sometimes there's just something to like this smoothness, just the ability for the beer to come together, get smoother and more round. That can all work really well, right? That's the good side of having a beer change. Sometimes the not so good, it's typically one of two things, right? It's going to be a process error. One, it's going to be sanitation, or it's going to be oxygen, or it's those things earlier in the process, right? That stuff can go wrong in the fermenter, things can go wrong during transfer, and things can go wrong in the finished vessel, whatever that is. If you're using a bottling bucket, that would be the bottle. If you're going into keg, it can be the keg, stuff like that. So what I would look into is maybe reevaluating those cleaning and sanitizing processes. Just real quick cliff notes. You're not going to sanitize something that's not clean, because you're not going to sanitize soil. I was a big fan of using PBW when I was brewing at home. PBW, Star San, use the appropriate concentrations at the appropriate temperature for the appropriate amount of time. Rinse well, stuff like that. I actually listened to a great podcast years ago on the Brewing Network, and maybe it was a Brew Strong episode where they had the owner of 5 Star on, the chemical people. Killer thing. So Google search that up, and that's probably what you're going to want to be what you're going to want to be digging into on that side. Sometimes it's just a beer rounding out, right? And finding its spot. You're having small particulate fall out. You're having the beer develop, mature, and when it goes sideways, it's usually going to be chalked up to one of those other reasons. So redouble efforts on that, and keep thumping, man, because you'll get better with it. You'll get better with it. It's just about diligence and practice. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.